Okay, so let's get started. Welcome. Okay, first of all, I just want to share with all of you how honored I am that so many of you have signed up for this. We have almost 700 registered participants on this free webinar, and it really is a reflection of how much people really want to make their life happen and make their life more joyful and passionate. So thank you so much for being here, and I think it's going to be an incredible hour. So let's get started. So here today is really, this is about the 3 keys, obviously, to boldly making life happen. And I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing today, because when I get on a webinar and I dedicate an hour of my life to something, I want to know what I'm going to get out of it. So I want to start with that. So here's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to learn about my 3 keys to boldly making life happen. They may be a little different, but I'm hoping that they will definitely help you, because it's a very simple process to implement in your life that I will hope will help you find more joy, passion, and really to take charge of your life. We're also going to define what making life happen means to you. And I'm going to talk about what it meant to me. And then I'm going to have you ask yourself the right questions to start doing this, to really start making your life happen. We're also going to talk about some examples of people that have implemented these keys. People in my life, me, some truth tellers as well. So I'm hoping that will help you gain some wisdom and apply some of the lessons I've learned and other people have learned into your lives. And then at the end, I have a special announcement. I'm hoping that you'll all hang on. If you have to get off early, we will be sending you the link to the webinar, but I have a special announcement of an exclusive offer just for webinar participants and some really incredible bonuses from powerful truth tellers that I have on Women for One just for you today for being here. So thank you again. So first, I think I want everyone on this call to take a deep breath, including me, and to just breathe and to honor that you are on this call for yourself. You know, a lot of us are busy in life. A lot of us are moms, we're dads, we're parents, and we really need to settle into ourselves and breathe. I'm hoping everybody is seeing the breathe slide. I'd like for each of you to turn off your phones. And if you can, keep a journal for the next hour to be present, because that's really the first step to making life happen, being present. Have a cup of tea or a glass of water or whatever you will feel, light a candle, and be in a place where you're, as much as you can, be undisturbed. And give yourself the gift of the next hour. I'm going to make every attempt I can to answer your questions during the webinar. And I'm going to make every effort. Definitely we'll have a Q&A. We might go over, but I've learned through a few other webinars that we really need to create that space and time after for questions. And if I don't get to your questions, I will email you my answers or my attempted answers to the questions that you have after the webinar. For those of you saying you can't hear, I'm going to just pause for a second and figure this out. If you could just give us a moment, because I really want everyone, it's really important to have everyone on this call. And there are a few people that say they cannot hear the call. If you can just, in the chat box, let us know if you can hear or not, that would be wonderful, so that we can actually be sure that everybody is on this call participating and really hearing what we're and digesting what we're saying. Okay, let's get started. So let's start with this question that I have for everyone. What does making life happen mean to me? Because I think that's the greatest question that we have. You know, the title of this webinar is what is making life, 3 steps to boldly making life happen. But what does making life happen to you mean? Let's take a minute, and I want you to either pause and reflect and think of what that means to you. Write a few words down that come up for you on this, but this will help us set the container for this webinar, because hopefully some of the answers or questions that you create will be answered through this hour. So feel free to write in the chat box what making life happens means to you, so we can create some sort of a conversation. Even though this is a somewhat of a one-way webinar, I can really address some things that people are saying. Let's just take a few seconds. Joyful, inspiring others to action, life experiences. For me, it means moving forward and not getting stuck in the past. Oh, so agree with that. Thank you. So that's the first question I really want people to contemplate. The next question is, what are some obstacles holding me back from making my life happen? And very simple questions, but very important, valuable questions to contemplate. What are the obstacles? They could be, for me, they're like, in the past, they felt like, oh, I'm so busy. I feel inundated with things, quote, to do. I don't have enough money or resources to do that. I don't have the knowledge or the degree to get that done. Those were mine. I'm sure everybody has different ones. Oh, anxiety, laziness, fear. Fear is a big one. Fear of change. I say those words. Thank you for saying that. And I actually get short in my breath when I say fear of change. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. Money, definitely. Stories I tell myself, not believing in myself. Oh, the not believing in myself, I can totally resonate with. Past trauma, totally got you. Totally get it. I am right there with you. And I'll talk a little bit about that today. And the procrastination, I think, is a really big one, because I feel like procrastination comes from avoidance of looking and getting really present to what happened to you in your past and what's going on and how you've defined your life for you. So these are all really incredible. And the not good enough and fear of being judged, believe me, I'm right there with you, sisters. I get all of those. And thank you so much for being courageous and showing up and saying these things, because this is what it takes to move forward, is courageously sharing, owning everything about yourself, not being afraid to put yourself out there. That's what we're going to talk about today. So thank you so much. And fear of, I have to say one more thing, fear of no one wanting to hear what I have to say. That just touches me in such a deep place, because I had that for so many years. And it's why I started Women for One, that I'll talk about in a few minutes. It actually brings me into my heart when you say that, because so many people don't feel like their voice needs to be heard. And I'm telling you right now, your voice needs to be heard. So thank you so much. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself before we move forward into the 3 steps and the 3 keys to boldly making life happen for me. And I want to tell you a little story about me. And I'm hoping it'll resonate with you. And even if it's not exactly what you've been through, check on the themes of what I'm saying, because I think all of us can relate to the life I've been through. And I want to talk to you a little bit about why I'm doing this webinar, why it was like, I just had to do it, and why it was so important to me. So the longer story is that I've lived in the messiness myself, the messiness of life. And they say the only way out of a messy life is through it. And in many ways, my life is a testament to that concept. Although I didn't really realize that until many years later after learning to own my story. I grew up in a very dysfunctional family, which many of us have. My father was an alcoholic. My mom was constantly trying to, quote, find herself while she was raising me. And, many of us go through dysfunctional childhoods. We had lots of financial problems. I moved around from place to place constantly, and my life was unstable, to say the least. By the time I was 17, for example, I had been to 17 different schools. So definitely unstable. So when I met my first husband when I was 25, at a time when I was searching for stability, I wanted the American dream, right? I wanted the thing that had been spoon-fed to me through society and television and my own observations of how I thought life should look and how actually my life didn't look my whole life. And I was sure, I was literally 25, I was like absolutely sure that this would bring me happiness. And you can probably guess it really didn't. So years passed, and on the outside, it looked like I had the perfect life. Okay. I had 3 beautiful children, which it was real. I still have 3 beautiful children. I had a great house. I had money. I had a quote, loving partner, but I was deeply suffering inside at the age of early 30s. The new lease on life I had been looking for really never came. And it was obvious that my marriage wasn't working. And just as I had been lured by the fantasy of the totally loyal and grounded husband, he had his own picture of a June Cleaver-like wife, soft-spoken and agreeable, which I think already you can tell that's not who I am. And as I began to grow into my power and excel in my career and to collect a growing group of like-minded friends who really believed in me, they were my sisters, the emotional gap between my husband and me became even bigger. And as a result, I felt more trapped. And now, looking back, I understand that when we step into a role we're not meant for and attempt to force our somewhat star-shaped pegs into a round hole, it just doesn't work. Psychologists sometimes call this cognitive dissonance, when there's a gap between who we are on the inside and what we're doing on the outside, and we can't help but feel anxious. I did. I felt anxious, I was depressed, and I became so unhappy and unfulfilled that I really felt like something had to give. And so when I decided to divorce my husband, my first husband of 12 years ago, I realized I was denying my needs and giving up my power in order to be seen as fully lovable. And I began to slowly but surely wake up and get curious about my desires, which had taken a back seat in my attempt to kind of cultivate that perfect life. I asked myself who I really wanted to be and what I was truly willing to settle for the first time in my life. I also became aware that many of the choices I made had come from that place of fear, which we talked about earlier. You guys mentioned fear a lot. And as I began to take more responsibility for my life, I was committed to getting real and making my life happen. My ex-husband and I, who is still a dear friend of mine, we used to laugh about it, and we still do, how we felt like our lives were always happening to us. We were in response mode all the time. And I wanted to make life happen on my own terms. And I implemented a simple process that I discovered along my journey that I want to share with you today, and humbly share it, because every single one of you is going to customize this experience. You're not going to use it as linearly as I'm presenting it, but I'm hoping that some of the wisdom I've gained will help you today and will support you in your life's journey. So now here I am today, and that was several years ago. Most of the boys are taller than my new partner, but that was me several years ago. I have a beautiful life partner who honors my power, who meets me, and who is just right for me. My ex-husband and I are actually still dear friends, and he's family. He's the father of my children. But this man meets me, and I met him after I did some really deep self-inquiry and a lot of work on myself to find out what I wanted in life. I have 6 great children, 3 of my own and 3 bonus children, I call them, not step. And I just finished writing my first book. And I'm the founder of Women for One, which is an online community of thousands of women from around the world who are passionate about sharing their stories and making their life happen. I'm happier than I've ever been in my life, but there's still challenges, and I'm constantly working my 3 keys to making life happen. But more importantly, I found something I've always been to be elusive my whole life, with all the trauma I've been through and all the dysfunction and all the beauty and the power that I've experienced. I found peace. And I love this quote, because this quote, it's by someone that's unknown, and it doesn't mean to be in a place where there's no noise, trouble, or hard work. I have 6 teenagers. Come on. Everybody knows you can't be in a place of no noise or trouble. But it means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart and have that perspective that you're living the life you've dreamed and you're making your life happen with conscious choices. Even if you're in a different circumstance from me, you're here to make your life happen today. And you want to know how I did it and see if there are lessons here for you. And that's what I want to share. So let's jump into it. Okay, so this is simple. That's what I love about these 3 keys. And I want to keep it simple because we're all busy. As much as people go, stop the glorification of busyness, we have a lot going on. It's wonderful. Our time is valuable, and I want to honor your time. And this is how I felt. To make it simple for me, 3 keys equals 3 C's. And I'm going to talk about those 3 C's today. And I'm hoping you'll learn to take these 3 steps into every situation in your life and apply them to every challenge. Because as you flex your muscle, kind of like working out, it's the same way. I do it in individual situations, and then I looked at the grander scale of my life. So let's dive in. Are there any questions before we move on? Okay, here we go. First key, curiosity. One of my favorites. I've been curious since I was a little girl. And a lot of people that I admire value curiosity. A lot of my mentors have valued curiosity. Curiosity really, it's really important to get curious about the world around you. I mean, look at the world. That's why we're human beings. It's how we innovate and make progress and learn about the world outside ourselves. But if you really want to create any meaningful change, it's even more important to get curious about yourself, your thoughts, your behavior, and anything about yourself that you take for granted or see as a given. This quote is one of my favorite quotes ever because I love the first C of curiosity. And Byron Katie is actually, if you don't know of her, please look her up. She's amazing. Talk about a simple process that will transform your life. I just interviewed her on Women for One, and I'm hoping all of you can click on the interview and watch it because it's so powerful. I have 2 people in my life that I wanted to interview. I mean, I've interviewed some really incredible people from Maya Angelou to Marianne Williamson, but Byron Katie is just, I find like she's a renegade and she's powerful. And she took me through such an incredible process that a lot of us have and some issues that all of us have with relationships and body issues. So I'm hoping you'll go and look at the interview and the conversation I had with her recently on Women for One. But this quote, an unquestioned mind is the world of suffering. Oh, it really hits me hard because if we're not questioning everything all the time, not from a place of like uncertain, like the uncertain, like I'm scared fear place, but from the place of what does this mean to me? Why is this happening? Those what's and whys and who is affecting me are so valuable and important. I can't even tell you. And I have a great deal of compassion for those of us that are suffering. I feel like self-inquiry is truly the first step in reducing and relieving suffering in the world. And I really agree with Katie on this. So I want to talk about 3 types of curiosity briefly, because I think it's important to break it down. People talk about cleaning up their lives, but this step in curiosity is about getting messy and really diving into that self-inquiry I talked about. And in working with hundreds of other women, I've witnessed firsthand that so many of us might bury the truth that we don't even know what it is. I know I did. I buried some really bad secrets about myself that came up for me that I wasn't ready to handle in my 30s, that helped me transform, but they were terrifying. And so in curiosity, there are 3 things to question. One is your individual curiosity, which is your individual behavior, the memories and perceptions you have of the world. I encourage each of you to take an inventory of your life and be really honest with yourself. Ask yourself those tough questions about why you react a certain way and why you make the choices you do. And honestly, where you want to go, like with your life. The relational is important too, because obviously we're all interacting with others all the time. And really notice what triggers you with others and why and what you value in relationships and how you react in relationship. Like really dive into, why am I reacting to this? Instead of just reacting, if you do it, don't judge yourself. Just stop and ask yourself the question, is this really about right now? And why am I reacting? And then in the global sense, the world at large and what your values and belief systems are, because, as we all know, there's a lot of political campaigning going on right now. And a lot of us are really becoming unapathetic. We're engaging because we're triggered by certain people making grand statements without naming names. I will say that. And what does that do? What does that trigger in you? Dive into those questions about yourself. Why are you triggered by these people that are saying things that you don't believe, or that you do believe and you're jumping on their bandwagon? Like, just really step back and take a look at why you're making the choices you're making on supporting or not supporting those people or going against them. So I think that's really important to kind of look at those types of curiosity as we're going through, so that you can get a perspective of yourself a little different, a little more removed than being involved and being very emotional. So I've talked about diving into self-inquiry a lot. It's a big one for me. I really believe that we need to challenge ourselves to ask those tough questions and get curious and get real, because if you look at my story, I knew I had to make a change. And I was so like, I didn't know what to do. I was lost for several years and I was depressed and unhappy. And I made the choice, like, do I want to be the woman that stays in an unhappy, lifeless, loveless marriage and give that example to my children? Or do I want to follow the Zen proverb, leap and the net will appear? And I did. And actually, I put that leap and the net will appear on my refrigerator through my divorce, because frankly, it was a big step and it was a big leap, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I just followed my intuition walking through this. And sometimes when you do that, it's obviously it's terrifying. And I'm not saying everybody needs to leave their husband or needs to make some big leap, but asking yourselves the questions about why you're unhappy and what's going on in your life and why you made the decisions you did, that's the very first step to making your life happen. I want to check in here with some of the comments here. I heard from someone that said, I've gotten curious, but then I'm stuck. I don't know why I'm reacting a certain way. I think that's okay. I think it's okay to feel stuck. And just the awareness of not knowing why you're reacting in some way is big. And just to own it and honor yourself for not knowing and knowing you're stuck is more progress than a lot of people in this world. So I want to honor that you said that, because that's a big deal. So I want to move on to this. Curiosity brings you into awareness. And we've talked about that a lot already. Curiosity really takes you into that space of like, wow, I get this. Like, I'm aware that I am miserable right now. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to be miserable. At least you're being real. It's better than putting on a mask and faking it like I did for so many years. And like, I see so many people like living their lives because they think they're, quote, supposed to be a certain way, be the idealized mom, be the idealized, worker, or the friend or the wife. It's like, is that going to bring you joy? Because really, you have one life. Like, let's get real and give that service back to the world from a place of power and love and joy, not from a mask that's terrified and working from the place of fear. So we really need that awareness to move into clarity. And by asking yourselves the questions we just talked about, you're going to move into that space, and it will take you towards becoming more clear. So let's move into the next C, which is clarity. Clarity is awesome. And I want to share with you, as I was creating this with my team, I was creating this webinar, I kept not being clear on clarity. And it was like, what a paradox. I was laughing about it. It was like, how am I not clear on clarity? Well, it's clarity. Clarity wants you to be clear. And I kept like not being clear on what I wanted to say about clarity. And we were laughing about it. And I define clarity as it brings us into alignment with what's actually happening right now, in the moment, right now. If you don't have clarity, I promise you that life will happen to you, and it will feel very out of control. I don't know about you, but haven't all of you like felt that way before? Haven't you felt like, oh my God, I can't keep up with my life. I'm so stressed. I'm anxious. I can't get this done. This person's mad at me. I can't meet up to my husband's and my kids' expectations. I mean, I know I have. I still do. And I have a little bit better tools to deal with it now, but I'm still dealing with it. I'm seeing that there are some questions coming in, and just so you know, I'm going to keep moving on clarity, and then I'm going to answer a couple of these because my team is telling me that there are some questions coming in. So just so you know, I will answer these questions as we move forward. I want to move into this because I really want to talk about reactivity. Reactivity does not equal clarity. And let's talk about when we're not clear and we don't have clarity. Have you ever been in a situation where all of a sudden you're triggered by someone? Gosh, I can't imagine that anyone on this call has ever been in a situation like that. I'm kidding. There's a place where your body gets like triggered and you're angry and you just want to punch somebody. Well, I feel that way, right? You see the first cartoon character, you're starting to get irritated. And then there's this relational, with your husband or someone else where you're just like, ah. And then you go full-blown, non-clear reaction mode, can't see clearly about anything. I want everyone to know that I would venture to guess, and most of my mentors have told me that 80% of the population of the world, a large percentage of the time is operating in that third person's reactive mode on this slide. And that's pretty scary, because what that means is we're all making these life decisions, these large life decisions, without being clear, without being curious about what's going on in our lives, and not having clarity. We're just spending our times reacting to someone else's trigger or to our own triggers from our past story and experiences. And that's pretty scary. I mean, if we look at from the individual, relational, and global space that we talked about in curiosity, to have our politicians reacting from that space where they're arguing together, from having our friends reacting, it's pretty amazing that we all haven't just kind of blown up already. And it's a testament to the human species that we do have the capacity to have clarity. And I want to discuss how to get clarity and break it down clearly so that we can move into that clarity on a daily basis a little bit more. Should we stop for questions? I'm going to stop for questions really quickly. There was a woman that asked, getting stuck on the question, why? Can you address this? Why did he leave me? Why did I get fired? So getting stuck on the why is looking at, I would say, I think it's really important because a lot of us are looking at like, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? And we're going to address that actually in the next section, which the final C, which is self-responsibility and looking how we create our reality. So looking at that question, I think we want to wait on that one. Sorry, but I'm just like reading it, trying to decide if I want to answer that yet. Let's wait and let's come back to that. The other one is, how do I handle people that still trigger me? Oh my gosh, I get triggered every day. I was at breakfast this morning and I got triggered. The difference between how I used to be and how I am now with the trigger piece, which is on this page, is I notice it. I have an awareness of it and I know it's my reaction and I take self-responsibility for it. And it's not about what they're doing. It's about my expectations. It's about my past experiences. And it's about me fully stepping into the fact of owning that I'm making a choice to get triggered in this moment. It has nothing to do with the person that's triggering me. And that's what Byron Katie talks about. And that's what I'm talking about. It's kind of a radical way of thinking, but I feel like it's kind of the new way in the self-help process, really owning your own actions and your own belief systems instead of blaming others. So I love that question. And the other thing I would say is be kind to yourself and don't judge yourself for getting triggered. Just sit with it and have clarity and an awareness around being triggered, because it's still going to happen. You're just not going to be as affected when you apply the tools I'm sharing today. Okay, so let's move on to, is life happening to you or for you? Love, love, love this image. I feel like with this image, it's really powerful to just take it in and look at it for a second, because we're talking about making life happen. And I told you about the fact that I felt like life was happening to me and taking me over for a long time, which I feel like a lot of people feel. And then, is it for you or are you making it happen? I think we can get caught up inside this wave. Like, so imagine a surfer, okay? So if you're a surfer, you're present in your body, you know what's going on around you, and sometimes big wave comes, sometimes little waves come. You know how to ride that wave on top because you're present, you're clear, you're looking around, you're real about what's happening, okay? Same thing. When life is happening to you, you're tumbling inside that wave right there. You're right inside and it's just tumbling you and it's spitting you out. I've had that happen many times in my life. Still happens. But when you're surfing the wave, you're on top, you're clear, you're in your body, you're present. It's not that you're all perfect or anything. It's just that you're aware of what's happening so that you can make life happen and you can shift it to make the wave work for you. So I wanted to really use this as a metaphor because I think it's powerful. I think it's really important for us to take that wave and use it in our lives when we feel like something's happening to us instead of happening for us. And I think, it's quite simple, but all of the ancient truths are simple that I believe in. And I think if we apply that to modern day, it's really helpful. So I want to talk a little bit about how to gain clarity. Because I think it's really, really important to just lay it out clearly. There's self-reflection in therapy, which I've done a lot of and we can have to continually do. And therapy might mean talking to a friend, going to a therapist, going to a coach, writing, journaling, all of that. Then we can gain clarity by diving into our stories and experiences. This is a big one, and this is what we do at Women for One. We dive into those experiences and stories to find the truth, not to just storytell, not to just say, this happened to me, and people are so bad, and I don't know what to do. It says, this happened to me. I own what I created in this. I own my part in it, and this is the wisdom and the lessons that I learned that I want to share with you. And then, really importantly, connecting with our intuition. And that intuition word is such a buzzword these days. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it, but getting into our bodies, getting real, getting present to what is, like surfing that wave so that we know what's around us, and surrendering to what is, I think is so important as we move forward. So I love this because so many people think, they talk about how they're psychic and that intuition is like the way, and they go and get readings. And, I really value certain readings that I've been to with people that have a really mature consciousness that channel what they feel is right for me. But bottom line, I deeply believe through all of my learnings that we all have a deep intuition, and we all have that gut that we can know what's best for us if we can get clear. So I believe intuition is really the doorway to clarity. And if we don't get clear with our body and our mind and our spirit and our soul, we're not going to go anywhere, and we're not going to have clarity, no matter how much we recycle in our brain. So what I'd like to do right now is I'd like us to just take a moment to pause and take a deep breath and do a mindfulness practice, even if it's for a minute. And you can do this every single day. And I want us to slow down and take a deep breath. Just close your eyes, just take a deep breath. And even if you're resisting right now, because I do, because my mind works so quickly, just give me 20 seconds, even 20. And just take one deep breath. And just get here now. And stop and be with what is, and be present. And I want you to ask yourself and notice how much of you is an acceptance of this info that I'm giving, and how much of you is not able to be with this in the moment. Notice it without judging. It's okay. Just notice. And let's take one more deep breath. And I want you to notice when you notice, you'll be able to move into clarity much more easily. You'll be able to answer and ask and answer the questions and curiosity that you need to, and receive the clarity from your intuition. And please remember, awareness brings you into clarity. This awareness, even if it's for 1 minute a day, that's progress. And so if everyone can just kind of come out and accept and receive. I put up a quote from Arianna Huffington, who wrote an incredible book and I've seen her live a couple of times speak, which I encourage you to all get. And she's a Women for One truth teller. And she wrote answers to questions in an interview that I asked her to answer on the Women for One site. And I love this quote: life is a dance between making it happen and letting it happen. That's what life is. You have to allow for it, and then you can make it happen. And I just adore Arianna. She's talk about a woman that's learned lessons, that made things happen, and really is sharing her wisdom. And I want to drive the value of this clarity home with you. And I want to bridge it with the next C, which I find is the biggest one and the most important and valuable key to making life happen, which is choice. Choice is the differentiator in life in general. A lot of people recycle within curiosity and clarity, which is fabulous. I'm really proud of them. I'm proud of me for going through it. And I did that for many years. I lived with a guru. I did therapy. I worked my, incest issues with my dad. Like, I did it all. But I recycled in that, and I could never move into choice and action. And that's that piece that's so important, especially for us women, because with women, we're all about the feminine, which is wonderful. But I believe that the new movement for women in the feminine era is integrating that masculine piece of action and choice. In the 60s and 70s, we were all about go, go, go. We have to differentiate ourselves and we have to show that we're valuable. Now we're about embodying that and integrating that into our souls so that we can share it with the world from this powerful place of choice. And if it sounds easy, believe me, my experience is it isn't easy to make conscious choice all the time. And by using curiosity and clarity, you can move into that choice space. So I want to tell you a quick story about my best friend. My best friend has been my best friend. We all have those sisters in our lives. She's been my best friend for 30 years. I adore Michelle. And by the time she was in her late 20s, she had climbed the corporate ladder in a tech firm where she worked and was supervising like hundreds of older men, like 50 and over. She had a husband and a child, and she was pregnant with her second child at that time. And when her daughter Anna was born, she had Down syndrome, which was a shock to Michelle, who she didn't know about this in advance. For the next 2 years, Michelle struggled with how to react to a child who would have special needs for the rest of her life, but really was working those keys, the curiosity and the clarity, to get clear about how she wanted to move forward to embrace this new life for herself. And that's why I adore her. Things became even more intense for Michelle and her family when Anna was 2. She was diagnosed with cancer. And this was Michelle's turning point, her greatest gift. Was she going to be present for her family, or was she going to keep climbing that corporate ladder? She had to make a choice. To this day, Michelle says the greatest gift of her life was Anna being born. And it makes me cry, because Michelle had a choice to accept her circumstances and dive into the gifts and the beauty around who Anna was. And she made a choice to make her life happen and started a foundation in partnership with Duke University to support Down syndrome awareness. And to this day, she has raised over $1.3 million to support Down syndrome's awareness with Anna's Angels Foundation. I feel like what this story demonstrates, when we are empowered and we take action from seemingly unfortunate circumstances, we learn from them, and it takes our life in places that we could have never dreamed of. And it's really only when we're able to fully claim those aspects of our life, every single aspects, the light, the dark, the hard, the beautiful, the powerful, that we can reclaim that wholeness that has been our birthright. We all have choices to make, ranging from big to small. I think they're all equally important, but we do this from a place of curiosity and then clarity. Our choices are so much more powerful. So I was going to write conscious choice equals self-responsibility plus action, but I really believe that conscious choice is self-responsibility and action. And as I said before, and I will say it again, choice truly is the differentiator in these 3 C's. If you can't move into choice, even if it's small, nothing's going to change. I'm telling you, I've experienced it. And how do we take it to that next level to manifest what we want in our lives? How do we take that choice? Well, we persevere, we have patience with ourselves, and we take baby steps. And that consistency and patience and with the process, that's the most important factor in choice. It's action. It's a small action. It helps us to feel like we can start moving in the right way, having that courage to take that baby step. It leads to so much more clarity, because then we can just kind of go back to curiosity and clarity and keep moving forward. And I believe it's never too late to make a new choice. I know that from all of the hundreds and hundreds of women and men that have shared on Women for One about their new choices and their lessons that they've learned from what they've been through. So today, I really want each one of us to set an intention. I want to review the questions you asked at the beginning. And I want to hear your intentions. I love to hear them. And I want to answer some questions as well around taking a baby step today around what it means for you to make life happen, and what are some obstacles that you're going to take a baby step towards addressing with these 3 C's. I think it's really, really important to do that. And I want to go through the 3 C's really quickly again, because I think it's important for us to kind of have a visual. I'm a visual learner, so curiosity, clarity, and choice. Those are the 3 C's that you can implement on a daily basis with an interaction with a person or in your greater life. I'm trying to look at some of your comments. Any other questions right now? These 3 C's will definitely lead you to sustainable joy. That's the one thing that I know to be true in this world. And I want to finish up this section of the webinar with this quote, which is one of my favorite quotes in the world. The shortest distance between truth and a human being is a story. Anthony Mello is amazing. And I want to know, how do you start to own that truth? Ask yourself that question. Get curious. And what does that mean to you? Especially if you're not even sure what your truth is, or if you don't even feel that you have the support necessary to do that, to own your story. How do you begin to claim your brilliance and take action that leads in the direction of joy and empowerment? That's what we're here for today. And I'm hoping that these 3 C's will take you to that place to be able to start claiming and owning your life. And I want each of you to know that only you can decide what it means to you. Only you. You can customize these 3 C's. You can choose to implement these in your life. And they're just the tip of the iceberg, these 3 C's. You've got to have someone that's a mentor for you, or some programs that support you in this journey. You've got to find that tribe. You've got to find those people that will help you to move forward in your life and take these baby steps and actions that I spoke about. And I want to talk to you about one thing that we've been asked at Women for One to do for the last 5 years. And, I started Women for One because I wanted to have a tribe. I wanted to have a community that was authentic, of women that wanted to learn and own their life and share their truths and be authentic. Because I was, we do what we need, right? So I was looking for my truth and finding, I wanted to write and share. And so I created what I needed. So we are so excited at Women for One, my team and I, of incredible people, Nirmala, Sam and I, and Rachel Passo. The 4 of us have created this 5-week course for boldly sharing your story called Truthteller. And we've all done it with this passion of, women have been asking for this. They want to know how to dive into their story, not from a place of storytelling, from a place of diving into their truth and understanding how to understand why they do the things they do in their life and how they can move forward from a bold place where they can make their life happen. And this is what this course is about, and I deeply believe in it. Here's what you're going to get on this course, and you're going to get a 50% discount by being on this webinar. And it's the first thing This is the first product, other than just a few little small products on Women for One, to sustain Women for One that we've ever sold. This is a big deal for me. It's putting our wisdom out there, powerful women that have created something that will take you and guide you through your life to be able to make life happen. And what we have here is we have 5 downloadable workbooks, weekly audio classes, 2 45-minute live Q&A calls with me. We're going to have a private Facebook group of a tribe of women that are deeply committed to understanding their life. And you can, but you don't have to, have your work published on Women for One. I'm going to make that optional, obviously. Our editors will work with you and in creating a story around your experience. And then we're going to have lifetime access only this one time for this course, for the first debut course we've ever shared, for future versions, because we really want to have this tribe be us, be Women for One, be part of what we're doing to move forward and help us and give us feedback about how we do this in the future. And here are the modules, just briefly, that we're going to be having in this course. The first one is the power of truth-telling, which is differentiating truth-telling compared to storytelling, where you stay on the surface and you go, here's what happened to me, and then this happened, and then somebody did something to me. Truth-telling is like, here are the lessons I learned. Here's what I dove into. Here are my emotions around it, and I'm going to be courageous and share this with you in hopes that it will help me and you. Expansive versus limited stories, which expansive, as I just said, are much more lesson-based stories and wisdom compared to limiting, which keeps you in that victimhood mode. Identifying monsters in your closet. Love this chapter, module. It's amazing because this is about your darkness. And I find that a lot of self-help, new age courses are all about staying in the light, staying in the sweetness and love. Well, I believe love and depth and beauty and power encompasses the darkness of your life and all the traumas you've been through. That's what this module is about. And then we're going to encourage women to claim their voice and share their truth in Module 4 and embrace it all in Module 5. This class begins Monday, March 14th, and I would love to have you join us. Here are the bonuses that we're going to give to this course. 50% discount. Christine Hassler, amazing rock star, love her, is sharing a special meditation just for us. Audio meditation. If you haven't checked her site out, please do. She's a tribe member and I adore her. An exclusive conversation with Barnett Bain. For those of you who don't know Barnett, he's a truth teller on Women for One, and he's a dear friend of mine. And he is the executive producer of Milton's Secret, which is coming out soon, that Eckhart Tolle wrote, and also What Dreams May Come from the Past that Robin Williams was in. He also is the author of a book called The Third Story, about the power of the story in your life, which changed my life. His book changed my life. I'm going to do a guided meditation for you as well. We have bonus PDFs for people that are really interested in writing a little bit more and understanding how to do that in an eloquent way that you can get your story heard more and read more eloquently. Then we have a t-shirt for each of you. We're really excited about our Women for One shop. So we have a t-shirt for anyone that signs up from this webinar. A surprise gift from a truth teller who is one of my main tribe members. I adore her, and I can't wait for you guys to see that. And then a 20% discount code for the online store. So today we're doing this for $250, and I think it lasts until February 21 if you want to enroll, and we'll send you the link to do this if you're interested. Check it out. We'd love to have you, and I'm hoping that if you have any other questions regarding this course, email us, because I think we really want to, this first time around, get feedback, get questions about what it is. We want to serve our tribe, and you guys are our tribe. So thank you for being open to at least researching it or passing it on to someone that you know that would benefit from it. I adore Tony Robbins. He's a man, and somebody just asked what the cost is. I said $250, just so you know. It's back here. $250. for just the webinar participants. It's regularly $550, but today it's $250 for the webinar participants. Tony Robbins is one of my favorite people, and I love this quote: if you're going to make a change, you're going to have to operate from a new belief that says life happens not to me, but for me. Once again, I'm all about life happening for us and us making life happen. So with that said, I really want to thank you for joining us, and I want to enter into a Q&A session so that I can answer any questions that you have about the material I shared. I want to also just tell you to email us with any questions at all at truthteller@womenforone.com. You can also email me personally at kelly@womenforone.com. I am just so grateful to be able to share my experiences in life and have you take this time to listen to me. And I really want to be able to answer any questions that you have. So go for it. I think I'm going to answer a few questions now. And thank you so much for joining us. So let's look. So questions, here we go. Let's do a Q&A. There's some questions on the online course. The Facebook name for the course will be given to you once you join the course, and it's a private Facebook group name. And then there's another Facebook group name if you become a written truth teller at our site, which you can go to our share page and become a truth teller and submit a story to us. So that's one question we've gotten. Nirmala, are there any other questions? Let me see. Kathleen said, I would love to find my tribe. How can I start this? You know what? I did a really powerful webinar with a woman named Carrie Bradley, who is an author, a dear friend of mine, and a Women for One truth teller. And we did a webinar that I think we sent you the link for on finding your tribe. So much fun, so great. So hopefully you got that link. I love when someone says, loving the 3 C's as it energizes my power and self-awareness. I'm telling you, these 3 C's have changed my life because they're simple, they're easy to implement, and I continually build my muscle with the 3 C's all of the time, asking myself, when I'm triggered and I have something happen, I'm like, why did I do that? What was it? In fact, I actually irritate my husband sometimes because I'm always asking myself the questions to try to get clarity and take action in a different way so that I can really find power in my life. Anything else before we go? Kathleen asks, how is it all online? How long days? The Truth Teller course is all online, and it's 5 weeks long, and you get a module every single week. And then we have several live audios, and I'll include an audio for the beginning of each week to walk you through what you do for that week. And then that's when we have the private face group for that group. So is there anybody else that has questions? Thank you, Peg, for the comment. Appreciate it. We will be sending out a link to this webinar with all the information on the bonuses. If you sign up for the Truth Teller course, feel free to pass this on to your friends and family. And I'm just so honored to be here. And my team and I are just so happy that we could take this time to be with you and build our tribe even larger. So go make your life happen. And we love you.